Erica and Sharon are sisters who began their grief journey in 2006 when Erica's 10-year-old son Austin drowned. Together, they participated in a grief education program, were so moved by this experience, they studied and became specialists so they could help the brokenhearted find recovery. In 2015, tragedy struck their family once again when Erica's oldest son Donovan was killed in a motorcycle accident. Erica and Sharon are committed to sharing their experiences of love, loss, and healing through this podcast. Now your grief specialists, Sharon and Erica.
Hey guys, welcome back to Healing Starts with the Heart, where it's all about you, the griever, and your broken heart. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Sharon, and this is Erica.
Hi friends, welcome back. It's so exciting every time we get to do our podcast recordings because we really are coming up with some great topics that I think will resonate with people who have experienced a grieving event.
I love this topic today. Grief is exhausting. It's unbelievably exhausting. It's exhausting and overwhelming. It can be so overwhelming. Yeah. And
you don't know what to do.
Right. Part of the reason that it's exhausting, Erica, I think is because you're not sleeping well. You're not eating right. This is immediately after, right? You're not sleeping well, you're not eating right. And the part where you have to, sometimes for people, it's twofold. Either you're taking care of everyone, which is exhausting, or you're not taking care of yourself, or just the energy it takes to grieve and sit in that pain takes every ounce of energy you have.
Well, on the flip side of that also, when you're not being true to what you're really feeling. So we call this the Academy Award winning behavior, which I was a victim of, or I shouldn't say victim, I was an active participant in portraying a fake life for a full year after Donovan died. So the amount of energy I had to invest to put on a brave face, to give a fake smile, to engage in social interactions, which I thought, I was doing the right thing. The drain it was on me when I would get home, I couldn't get out of the bed. I could not get out of bed because I had expended everything I had to put on this fake persona. Like I was getting by.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Now, you're talking about the Academy Award-winning behavior where the people are just like, oh yeah, I'm fine, which is the biggest lie that we can tell, right? We say that we're fine.
It was just getting adjusted to our new normal. Lewis and I, it was my little script. But investing in the script and trying to sell it, I mean, that's another part that it just wears you down. Because you're not being true to what you feel.
Okay, so you weren't even true right there. Because when I called, you were just telling me you were doing laundry.
Well, yeah.
I didn't
know. I was in bed, under the covers, exhausted from I might have been out. Because Lewis wanted to be I think Lewis needed that. He needed to be social. So he wanted to go be around our friends a lot. So I would go and do that and put on the fake smile and the nod and everything, and then I'd get home and he'd go to work on Monday and I'd stay in bed because I was worn out.
100%. I want to stop there for 1 second. So one of the things that was happening is that just the grief it was taking you to tell the lie of being under the cover. And then for me, you always told me you were doing laundry, and I joke about that now, but it was the only thing that you could come up with, which I understood. But there was at one point, you and I had a conversation. I don't know if you remember this, but you were like, I don't know. He wants all these people to come over and I'm not feeling it. I'm tired. I don't want to deal with this. And I said to you, but Lewis needs to have what he needs as well.
Right.
And what ended up happening was you went along with the having all the people over, which ended up being a disaster.
Yes.
Because all of the people coming over, you ended up having to comfort them.
Yes.
And you had to push your own grief down, which how exhausting was that?
Oh my gosh. And I have to say, without a doubt, there's no question that Lewis and I are loved. And I think people were they were so traumatized at not only, right there with us, that not only had we had to say goodbye to Austin, now we're having to say goodbye to Donovan. And so we had a range of visitors almost every single weekend, from out of town guests, local guests, people just stopping by just to say hi, every single weekend for a solid year. And that about killed me, like no lie, because like you said, I was having to stuff down my own pain and comfort them because they were hurting. They were hurting right there with us. And God bless them, well-meaning individuals, family members, close friends. They needed us as much as we needed them, in certain ways. Well, as much as Lewis really needed that love and support. And it was killing me. It
Yeah.
was killing me because what I needed was to ball up in the fetal position and ugly cry probably every single day. I probably needed to do that. And I wasn't able to do that because I was putting on a brave face and trying to bring comfort where I felt no comfort. I felt a black hole in my soul. Literally.
Right.
That's how I felt.
So I want to go a little bit deeper than this so that we can just break it down a little bit. When we as humans have to allow our emotions to come in. Grief is an emotional experience. Grief is a broken heart. It's everything that we didn't get a chance to say. It's all the brokenness in our heart, and we need to allow those emotions to come through. But what happens is, because we are not taught how to allow these emotions, it gets confusing. That's number one. And then the second thing is, we don't want to let the emotions come through, so we start pushing them down. And when we push them down and try to act normal or avoid them or resist them or get away from them, that's the part that's exhausting. That's the part that's so exhausting. And how much better would it have been, or different would your recovery have been, had you said, I need to roll up in a ball right now and cry? But did you even have the space to do that?
No, because you're surrounded. And again, I don't want it to seem as though I'm ungrateful for the amount of love and support we received, but you're surrounded by people who don't know how to communicate, their grief in a way, but also respect the fact that I am struggling. So what I would have to engage in a lot of the times was sitting around where people would just tell story after story about how amazing Donovan was and what a beautiful, handsome boy he was, all the things that I knew,
Yeah.
all the things that I was going to miss, and not realize how painful that was for me. And then, not allow me the space to say, if you want to cry or, whatever you need in this moment, or just allow me to talk. Just let me share, because I was the one listening. I was the one having to receive all these stories and take all this in and then have nothing to do with it because it's just layering on top of the pain I was already feeling. So no, I didn't have that space because if I would have broken down, it would have made them feel uncomfortable.
Right. And that's the biggest thing, because we as a society don't know how to handle someone just breaking down and allowing them to process the pain that's in their heart. And here's the other thing. Processing the pain doesn't take hours and days and weeks. We might just break down for 10 minutes. Just sit there. Let them do it. That's okay, because the trying to push it down takes more energy than anything else that it takes.
Gosh.
Then there's another aspect to it. You're having to continue on with your daily schedule, getting the kids to school, making dinner, paying the bills. How exhausting is that? Going to visit your in-laws, having your in-laws over, feeding your animals. The daily living, and you have no energy for that. There's just no energy for it. And that's why, I often make a joke about this, but that's why the laundry piles up. The laundry piles up because you have no energy for it.
Not just the energy, no desire. There's no desire to do any of the mundane activities we task ourselves with because we're just so sad.
Yeah.
We're so sad. We feel so alone because it's now thankfully for me, I had Lewis, and I knew without a doubt he felt as bad as I did. So in that regard, I had him, but there's people who lose their person
Yeah.
and they don't have that. So they feel alone. They feel like no one understands the things that they're going to say. They feel like no one will allow them the space to do the ugly snot running down their face cry. So they deprive themselves of that. And all of that just drains. It's like a battery. It drains your battery to where you barely have any life in you to move through your day to day.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's just, I think that people don't understand the amount of energy that it really takes to grieve.
Right.
Just the energy just to grieve. And that's why it's so important. And we say it over and over again, but you have to say what you want. But you equally have to say what you don't want so people understand she just can't handle that today, and that's okay.
Right.
He can't handle that today, that's okay. How do you think, what's the message we want to give out to the people who are there to support the griever? What should they know?
Those people should know that whatever emotion the griever in their life is experiencing, they need to give them the space to do that. And they need to tell that person, it's okay to cry. They need to allow that person to be the one talking or not talking.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't know, we don't have the words. And you've mentioned before, like you would look at me and I would just be staring off into space. Well, I was in such disbelief that the situation happened after Austin died, after Donovan died. I was in such shock that my body was in shock.
Yeah.
So the people around you need to understand that is part of the process. And sometimes if they're just sitting there staring, that's okay. And they need to just sit with them.
Well, I want to say this. It's okay to sit in silence.
Yeah.
Silence is okay. We feel so uncomfortable in silence, we feel that the silence has to be filled. Mm-hmm. It's okay to sit in silence. And it is something that I'm learning and I'm doing a lot of. When grievers come in and they talk and I ask a question and they don't have the answer, I just sit there. It's okay. Silence is okay, my friends.
Well, and also for me, I think I've shared this before. I isolated myself with both boys, and I didn't realize until after. I found a chair on the front porch, and I would sit there because the inside, all of the lovely people who showed up to support Lewis and I, it was overwhelming. It was overwhelming for me, and I felt I just couldn't process everything. So I would go sit on the front porch. So I think, and people would come and find me, and they would just sit down, and they would start talking. Like you said, silence is uncomfortable, so they would start talking. I think you should ask the griever, is it okay if I sit here? Because no one ever asked me. They just would sit and then start talking to me about whatever. But I was fine with it. I honestly welcomed it. It wasn't a distraction and it didn't aggravate me. But sometimes people won't want that. They need their space.
Yeah.
So I think to even ask, is it okay if I sit with you?
Yeah.
And get that permission, that's important to know as well.
Absolutely, 100%. What I think that as supporting staff, I always say, and supporting friends and family, you need to understand how exhausting it is for the griever. So I think when you understanding that will help you understand how to approach them and how to go about being their support and being the perfect support for them.
Right. Hold on, I just got onto another thought, because on the flip side of that, when we talk about it being exhausting and draining because we're not sleeping, and a lot of times people would encourage, someone to go lay down, but they don't want to go lay down because they don't want to be by themselves. So there's a flip side to that. So maybe even offering that person, do you want me to come lay with you?
Yeah.
Because maybe that would get them to feel more safe and secure and being able to take a nap or get some rest if someone offers to go lay down with them.
Yeah.
But people don't think about that.
Yeah. And that happens a lot with our children too.
Yeah.
We're trying to get them to slow down or go lay down. They don't want it. So you bring them in the bed with you, or you go join them in their bed. Sometimes that's what they need. I have clients that tell me, I crawled into bed with my daughter. I crawled into bed with my son because they
Yep.
needed that. And that's okay, you guys. It is okay. Whatever you need at this time, it is okay.
Right. And sometimes you don't know what you need.
Yeah.
So being able to say, I don't know what I need, but I just, and then just start talking from there will help you get to at least expressing the things that might make you feel a little bit more comfortable in that moment. Because unfortunately, we've been given such terrible information on the grieving process that we try to make things fit that don't fit
Yeah,
for us.
exactly.
So if you, I don't know what I need, maybe this, maybe that, maybe it'll help you find the place where you get to really express what's going to bring you the most mildest comfort.
I agree 100%. And the other thing is, your body is going to tell you what you need. Listen to your body. Your body knows. It will tell you. Number one, it is not uncommon for grievers to not want to eat immediately after a loss. Don't try to stuff food down them. They will not starve. I promise you, their body will not let them starve. That's number one. Number two, your body will tell you if you're absolutely exhausted or if you have a day where you can't do anything. Stay home and have some quiet days. It's absolutely okay. And an experience I had yesterday, I couldn't go one more minute. I couldn't do one more thing. And I looked at my husband and I'm like, I can't do anything else. And I'm done. I'm done for the week. I'm done for the day. And that was it. I took a nap.
Right.
I did listen to my body and did what I needed to do. And in the midst of the grieving, it is so important that you do that as well.
That is so true. I shared with someone who, she said to me, you know, I'm just having, I think I'm in a funk and I'm having some problems, you know, getting up and doing stuff. I know I need to do, you know, A, B, and C, and I just don't feel the motivation. And I said, give yourself the time, have some downtime. There is nothing wrong with that. But set a deadline for yourself. So I'm going to take this weekend off, but Monday I'm going to get up and I'm going to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
If you get to Monday and you still cannot get the motivation or the drive, you don't have the drive to get that, and that done, that's when you need to start looking inside and saying, okay, what's going on? What am I struggling with? And reaching out to get some help with being able to pull yourself out of whatever it is you're experiencing.
But I also want to touch on this. That was a great comment, but I also want to touch on this. The exhaustion level was different for you and Lewis. So as a husband and wife, the exhaustion level is different, and you have to allow that space of that differentness. Like, he may be up and wanting guests over and you're totally down. Together as a couple, you have to allow that. You're not going to be on the same page every day all the time.
Right. And even though Lewis and I were on the same page in regards to our broken hearts, we were not on the same page with how we performed. Lewis is not a downtime guy. He is not a sit down and watch a movie or take a nap. Lewis is go, go, go from the minute he opens his eyes and gets out of that bed until the minute he crawls back in it and falls asleep. So, and that is how he worked through his grief. He had to go outside and find tasks. He had to find things to keep himself busy. He's a keep busy type of griever. Yeah. And we know that some people need that. They need to distract themselves from the pain. I'm different. I'm saying, I'm going to tell you this lie that I'm keeping myself busy, but I'm really curled up in a ball on the couch, drowning myself in reality TV because I want to zone out and not think about how sad I am.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's two different ways, and each one is okay for that individual, and it needs to be acknowledged. You're not going to grieve the same.
I love that you just gave all of our grieving friends permission to do whatever they need to do. I love that. Mm. What's your final thought for today?
My final thought is don't let grief drain you.
Yeah.
It's already so heavy. It is already so dark. It's already so debilitating. Don't try to put on a fake persona to make other people happy. Yeah. Be true to yourself and be true to your spirit and what you need as a griever.
Yeah. And my final thought is we are great listeners, you and I. We're great listeners. We love to share our grief with everyone. You guys, get on our website at Healing Starts with the Heart and set up a mini session with us. If you think that you and your husband may not be grieving at an even pace, or you need help, or you just need the answer to a question, call us. We'll talk you through that. If you need help with your children, call us. We will talk you through that. If you just want to share the pain in your heart, call us. Set a mini session up. We will talk with you and share our grief with you. We are here for you. We are the resource for your broken heart and the grieving process. Thank you so much for allowing us in for these few minutes. We love being able to share with you all of our loss and recovery. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, or at healingstartswiththeheart.com.
Absolutely. That's it. Thank you, friends. Thank you for listening.
Bye.